What's going on, guys? Russell here, and I just woke up, but I'm going to be bringing you a 1 versus 1 cast between Mehala, the blue Terran in the top right, and Hanny, the red Terran in the bottom left. So it is going to be a TvT, and we see the GLHF and the U2 and then a no, so I don't know if he's just trolling or what. So let's get this started. We have both of them doing the average opening build for any race, building your SCV pros and drones respectively. And we're seeing a fag, and then I'm no bundle of sticks. Alright, I'm just gonna ignore the chat. You guys can read it if you want, but it's gonna throw me off because they're getting a little weird on me. And we see that Mehala is deciding not to wall off because in a Terran versus Terran there was really no reason to wall off, because the Marines, if they're able to get a little bit of high ground, and he has quite a few of them off the beginning, then your wall off is pretty much useless in that sense because of the choke point here. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And we do see Hanny deciding to wall off. So we are... and what will we be seeing put down from him, because he does have this selected. Oh, and there goes, we see the barracks going down, and we now see Mehala coming down to scout, and he will see this barracks going down, and Hanny queuing up the supply depot again, and we see Mehala putting down a barracks also, and I believe the barracks are almost timed at exactly the same. Hanny's is a few seconds before Mahala's, but for the length of the rush distance that doesn't really matter. And we see Mehala putting his SCV in the corner here, and Hanny wisely going to check it out and attacking. And as a newer player, most newer players, when they do have their SCV drone or probe in the enemy base, what a lot of them do is they deselect it and then just let it sit there, because most of the time players usually won't attack it, but Hanny does, because that's usually what I do. I go and attack it to get it out of my base so they don't see what I'm doing. And Hanny does wisely go in to attack it, but Mehala ends up deselecting it and just letting it get killed, which you don't want to be doing, because off the beginning every SCV is basically a godsend at this time, and he's blocking himself out, and he should be going to scout with this SCV here, but he is not. And we see 2 Marines from Mehala out on the field, and we have 1 Marine from Hanny coming out. And he has SCVs queued over here, and he has 2 refineries up, so we are going to see some heavy gas play from Mehala here. And what else? And we see an engineering bay going down from Hanny, so we may possibly see an early planetary fortress, just in case this wall off doesn't hold up. We have 4 Marines out now, so Hanny going to scout a little bit too late. He is going to lose this SCV, and yep, there goes. So all he sees is that he has 4 Marines and 1 barracks. That's all he knows that he has. But nope, not Hanny, but Mehala is throwing down a factory, so we will see some siege tank play here, because if you're a Terran player and you're getting a factory early in the game, you're more than likely going to be getting some siege tanks. And we now see the refinery going down from Hanny here. He's got 2 refineries queued up, so we may also see some heavy gas play from him also. And we have this SCV not doing anything. Instead of this guy, like if you have one SCV doing, like building this factory, instead of bringing another SCV off the line to build a supply depot with this one just sitting here, I would suggest using this SCV to build a supply depot first, and then if you do need the starport, then go and have another one come off the line to build the starport. And we do see the tech lab going down, so we are going to see siege tank play, unless if he goes for an armory and gets some Thors. Usually lower league players don't always go for Thors, and we see Hanny having a ton of minerals. He needs to spend some of these. He needs to build like maybe 3 or 4 more barracks, throw it on a factory there, because he will have enough gas here soon. And yep, he did have enough gas here. And we see him researching weapon level upgrade level bleh, weapon upgrade level 1, and he's throwing down another barracks. He needs to take another SCV off the line and throw down like 2 or 3 more because of the fact that he has so many minerals. And he is supply blocked. And we see Mehala throwing down another factory, and he is getting medevac, so we are going to see a huge marine medevac vol, more than likely with tanks to back it up. And there we go, Mehala throwing down his second expansion at the 740, well, a little bit more than 740 mark. It was probably about the 7-minute mark. And we see, yep, we see the supply depots going down, so Hanny does not get supply blocked again. And we see more Marines coming out of this barracks, and we see a tech lab going down. So we are going to see some Marauder play here, unless if he uses this. A common strategy most Terran players do is they will build a tech lab on a barracks, because that's one of the first buildings they can get, and then they'll build a factory almost right after that or during the tech lab. And the moment the tech lab is finished, they'll lift the barracks off and put the factory on top of it so they can pump out a tank really, really quick. And that's a very effective strategy because you can get that tank out, you can get siege tank tech, and the moment you have that siege tank tech, you're pretty much defended from almost any ground army that decides to come up your ramp if you place your siege tank, like, let's say right here, or right here, as long as the enemy isn't able to get a high ground advantage. And, oh man, we see Hanny going for some Reaper play. And where does he have that queued? And yes, we are going to see some Reaper harassment. Haven't seen some Reaper harassment in a long time. So we will watch this fella head over there and see what kind of damage he does. And we see 2 more Reapers on the way. And Hanny did deselect that, and 1, 2, there goes 1 SCV, 2 SCVs before Mehala decides to move out to counter this. And is he going to lose? Nope, he needs to take this away because he cannot hold against this, so he needs to bring this guy away from here. But instead he is trying to, and there he goes in a puff of smoke and blood. And here comes another Reaper, and he's wisely bringing this one back away from there. And this Reaper just sitting here not doing anything. I hope he takes this one back. Does he take it back? And I'm ignoring as to what's going on in the main bases. So we have a factory going down for Hanny, and we have infantry armor level 1 going down also, and that's almost completed. And let's see what we have here. We have 3 barracks, 2 with tech lab, 1 with a reactor. So we might see quite a few Marauders coming out here. And do we see another medevac on the way? No, there's not another medevac on the way, but there is another tank. So, and we have Hanny doing stim pack, and he will have the orbital command here up soon, and his starport is on the way. In the back here, and this SCV is just not doing anything. He needs to be back on the line collecting the minerals. And he is upgrading structure armor to 2. Don't know why. No, he's upgrading it to level 1. I'm not sure as to why. Because at this point in the game, what you want to be doing instead of getting your building structures upgraded, you want to be getting your units upgraded. So instead he should be building an armory to increase these upgrades here. But he is not. And we see 2 Vikings coming out. And we see a medevac coming out also, and Mehala building another tank. We have a Viking Marauder supply depot, and yes, we are going to see some drops here from Mehala here. What Mehala should be doing is he should be getting more SCVs on his mineral line, and more here also. He's not even close to saturation on his main base. That is the reason as to why he is being basically mineral capped, is what I'm going to call it. If he had more SCVs on this line, and more SCVs on this line, he'd have easily be making more minerals than Hanny is here, but Hanny is just not even spending his minerals. He needs more gas, so he does need to get the second expansion. He should have worked on this quite a while ago, about like 4 or 5 minutes ago, but he is not. And Hanny and Mehala moving in here with his 3 medevacs he is going to be dropping, and he will be dropping right here on the mineral line. It's going to decimate Hanny's minerals. His production, it's going to kill his, well, it won't really kill his marine production because it has more than enough minerals, but it's going to kill production of any gas unit because this is going to be taken out. And yes, we are seeing the drop here, and here comes. What Hanny needs to do is he needs to pull these drone SCVs off the line, and no, he is not pulling these SCVs off the line. He's losing a ton of SCVs here. And Mehala just decimating it. There goes the refiner. Hanny needs to pull these SCVs off the line, and here comes his main force coming in here. And boom goes the dynamite. He loses that first tank that comes out. And he was focus firing down these medevacs, and yep, there he goes again. And Mehala losing that whole army, but doing very, very big economic damage to Hanny. Even though he does have a ton of minerals, what Hanny should be doing right now is he should be getting another barracks with a reactor so that he can push out with more marines. But he is not going to be able to pull this off because of because if you look here, he has 1, 2, 3 tanks, 4, and is there any other on the way? No, he has 4 tanks, and all he needs to do is siege these up, and it's pretty much game over for Hanny. But he is moving it with some Reapers. He's going to go from the back and harass these SCVs here, or at least that's what he should be doing. But he is deselecting them, and he's just moving out with a small army with no medevacs. And he's going to snipe. Is he going to snipe 1 tank? He snipes 1 tank. Mehala not really paying attention. He snipes 1 tank, a marine. He's going to snipe another tank. Snipes 2 tanks. That's a big blow to his army because those tanks were his main source of, well, army-ish thing. And yes, he did come in with a back with the Reapers, and Hanny just running in here, killing off everything that he has for no reason whatsoever. And not building any more SCVs, just letting this go off, and Hanny throwing the game, apparently. Yep, Hanny calling the GG. I'm not sure. He could have came back from this. I don't know why he called the GG. Maybe because he didn't know that he could expand, because it was like, because from the beginning I saw that he had like 15 games played, but he did have these Vikings. All he really needed to do was go in through the back with his Vikings, land them, and kill off any economy that Mehala had because he had so little SCVs. If we go to the units tab, we see that even after the harassment that Mehala did, Hanny only has 6 less SCVs than he did. And we see here that Hanny had so many minerals, he should have just put down a few more barracks and he would have been set. He would have been able to easily overpower Mehala even with these tanks here, especially since he did have Stimpack. Let's see, did that ever get researched? Yes, he did have Stimpack researched. All he really needed to do was go in there, just bucket up the ramp, target down those tanks, and it would have been GG for Mehala, but instead, Hanny just throwing in the towel early. So, a few things we could have seen here differently. Mehala, A, saturate that main base. More SCVs on the line. B, mainard some SCVs from your main base to your second and saturate this also. And also, once you do have this second base, what you want to be doing is if you have siege tanks, you want to be putting like 1 right here and 1 right here to defend both these choke points. They're not really choke points per se, but I'm going to call them choke points because you can get stuck in there if you have a huge army, and especially with siege tank with the splash damage, they will be doing a ton of damage to any army that's going to be coming through here, especially if you have a tank here and a tank here. And also you want to be putting a tank right here in the beginning once you do have that first tank with siege tech. Now Mehala, not Mehala, but Hanny, A, more barracks, 1 with a reactor so he could pump out marines a lot quicker, because with this one all he was doing was using marines off of it, but he had a tech lab on there. If he was just pumping out marines, it's best to have a reactor so you can get 2 marines out at a time. And here he could have used more tanks to D up the line, to D up his line here and here. But he did do decently well on the mineral saturation, because as you can tell if you look here, his minerals are much smaller than the patches here. And he could have gotten the refineries a little bit earlier so that he would have been able to save up on gas a little bit, because if you look at the 2 players' minerals and gas, we see Hanny with more than enough minerals and we see Mehala with more than enough gas, so they were kind of flip-flopped on the mineral gas line. And that's what we should have seen. Mehala, a little bit more SCV play, a little bit, he was aggressive at the end there, but this is, like I said, this is going to be Bronze and Silver League games, and you won't really see any big harassments, aggressiveness, anything until the later game. So that's one thing. He also could have put a reactor on the starport to pump out 2 medevacs at a time instead of just waiting for one, etc. So yeah, could have seen a little bit more SCV play from Mehala, a little bit more like a reactor on the starport, a little bit more harass with a few Marines in the beginning, because he did have more than enough Marines to basically run in and end the game right there in the beginning with those 4 Marines. Like I said, a little bit more SCV, and from Hanny just a little bit more macro, wasting those minerals instead of just not building much other than queuing up everything. He should have had a reactor here, made 2 or 3 more barracks, expanded, of course. Expansion are your friends. Don't forget that. And yes, that's a little bit about what they could have done. A reactor on the starport, of course. Get more, and those Vikings, he should have moved in with the Vikings, drop them right behind all of this, like drop them, I wouldn't really say drop them in here, maybe drop them right on top of the tank so that this tank does splash damage to this tank, and then the Reapers would have been safe in the back. So yeah, just comment, rate, subscribe, because if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. It helps me out, and don't forget to comment, leave me tips, tricks, everything like that. And yep, that was a TvZ, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.